Okay, it's time now for Perspective, and today's segment has a definite cultural flavour. Our guest is the choreographer Philip Connaughton, a Dubliner born and raised. He's crafted several pieces for dance festivals in Ireland and overseas. He says he's passionate about dance, which is both accessible and challenging. Now, before we get into the interview, let's take a quick look at him in action in his piece titled Assisted Solo.
My mother said to me, "Philip, what do you want for your birthday?" Shock. It's full circle.
Okay, Philip Connaughton, thank you very much for coming to talk to us here on France 24. First of all, your latest piece titled Mamafesta Memorialising will be performed in the southern French port of Marseille, opening next month. Talk us through what we can expect from that.
Well, the last piece, the piece you just saw, is called Assisted Solo, and it was about my mother and caring for my mother who suffers from dementia. And quite often when you make a piece, afterwards you're expected to do something completely new and completely different, and I felt that there was this aftermath, and what was I going to do? I wasn't ready. There was still so much more to speak about. And in that piece I had talked about what it's like to care for somebody with dementia. And in this piece, Mamafesta Memorialising, it's more I'm exercising my own demons, because when you look after somebody with dementia, you're at a party and you'll say you can't remember somebody's name, and you instantly think, oh God, this is it now. This is it, I'm going down the same route. So, you know, it's something that so many people have to deal with. And so in Mamafesta Memorialising, it's an exercise in memory. It's about not forgetting and also about not being forgotten. For example, are we more than the sum of our parts? As we begin to lose our faculties, what's left behind? The essence of us, are we still the same? And that's basically what I'm doing now in this next work.
I want to get into the bottom of your dance, the creation of how you go about making a dance. Is it more for you an act of awareness raising or political activism, or is it more about it being a cathartic process for you as the choreographer?
It's an educative process. I mean, I find something that interests me and I try to delve as deep as I possibly can, and sometimes it takes more than one piece to do that. I suppose, yeah, it's a process of learning for myself. I just want to go deeper and deeper and deeper until I find what it is. And sometimes, of course, words aren't enough, which is why choreography and movement is so interesting to me.
But just on this latest dance, obviously your mum's illness is a massive part of that. Is there a message that you're trying to get across about the state of modern care when it comes to dementia?
Yes, absolutely. I think I want to make people aware that it's not always as negative as we might like to. It's a very difficult situation that you have to live with, but there are positive aspects, and you can find hope and positivity through anything. And it's also a way of probably, you know, when you're convincing somebody that something isn't so bad, you're also convincing yourself as well. So I suppose that's kind of, I'm doing both of those things.
Now, for those people watching at home that have never, ever had the chance to choreograph a piece of dance, how do you go from having the initial idea to it being put on stage?
Well, in this piece in particular, it's an exercise in memory. So we're three male dancers on stage, and I want to push the body to the maximum. As I said, my fear is forgetting. So I want to see how much the body can endure, how much information the body can take on. So what I've been doing over the past month I've been creating about 100 abstract gestures a day. And so I've got about 1,200 gestures at the moment. And I go through all these gestures, I mix them up, I make it complicated for myself. I add text on top of it. I tell anecdotes about my life. It's all about memory, it's all about identity. And yeah, I'm sure the dancers hate me at this stage.
I want to now go back to your roots, if I can. What made you become a dancer or a choreographer in the first place?
I think one of my earliest memories, ironically, is I was in the hall of my house and I was dancing around, and my parents passed by and I said I want to dance Swan Lake. I had no idea what Swan Lake was, but I knew it had something to do with dance, and they said okay, and they sent me to dance class, and the rest was history. You know, I think by the stage that I was 14, I was going to London to the Royal Academy, and and then I went to Ballet Rambert, so it just kind of followed on. It was very organic.
And has growing up in Ireland helped you or hindered you in any way when it comes to being a dancer? Have you been inspired by your background in Ireland?
Yes, absolutely. I think my identity is I have a very clear identity, and part of that is being Irish. So I mean, referencing my childhood, referencing my past has been part of my artistic process. My Irish identity is part of it. It's organically part of it. I can't separate it.
You may well hate me for asking this next question, but Prince George made headlines recently when it emerged that he's taken up ballet classes, with dozens of male dancers coming out in his defence after one American newsreader made some comments about that. What's your take on that? Is there a lack of men in modern dance, or is there any stigma still attached to men being contemporary dancers?
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure there's a lot of stigma, particularly in certain areas of society. But I mean, it's the most masculine thing ever to express yourself and to dance, and I think it's absolutely wonderful. And I have a friend who taught ballet class to the Irish rugby team, so it gives you so much. To understand one's body and to be able to express oneself is kind of the most important thing in the world.
Okay, Philip Connaughton, that's all we have time for. But just before we go, a quick reminder to our viewers of where they can see your next piece.
Clap Maison pour la Danse in Marseille on the 15th of October, and then it will go to Ireland, and then probably Hollywood.
And it runs, and it runs in Marseille until how long?
It's just one night.
Just one night only. You've got to have one night to try and catch Philip's piece there. Thank you very much for coming in to talk to us here on France 24.
A pleasure.